All right, everybody, welcome back. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into something that I think a lot of you are going to find pretty darn interesting.
Yeah, this is a good one.
So if you're someone who works with APIs, like if you're building them, you know,
If you've ever had to test an
oh
API,
yeah, testing APIs, ever get frustrated,
like a lot.
bouncing back and forth between Visual Studio and Postman or Insomnia,
Oh, 100%.
just to, see if your endpoints are even
If
working.
they're even alive, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think those days might be over.
Ooh, exciting.
That's right. And that's what we're diving into today.
Buck up.
So there's this new feature in Visual Studio 2022 called Endpoint Explorer.
Endpoint Explorer. I like the sound of that.
And we found a really great article that kind of, goes into the nuts and bolts of
Breaks
it.
it down.
Yeah, it's called Endpoint Explorer in Visual Studio 2022. Very descriptive.
Straight to the point. I like it.
Straight to the point, just like this deep dive.
Oh,
So
yeah, let's jump in.
let's just jump right into it.
Okay.
So what is this thing? What is Endpoint Explorer?
So it's this really cool tool,
Okay.
and it lives right inside Visual Studio.
Okay.
You go up to the menu at the top,
Mm-hmm.
and you go to View, and then Other Windows, and then boom, Endpoint Explorer.
All right, so it's not like front and center.
It's a little hidden, yeah.
You gotta dig for it a little bit.
You gotta know where to look.
But once you find it,
It's there.
what does it do?
It's gonna change your life, basically.
Okay.
At least your API life.
All right. Well, let's hold back on the hyperbole.
Okay.
But tell me what it does.
So what it does is it will automatically find all of your API endpoints for you.
Okay. So I don't have to like manually type him in or anything.
No more of that.
It just knows.
Yeah, and I know it sounds like magic, right? Like, how does it know?
It does sound a little magical.
But there's a logic to it. So basically, Visual Studio, it's smart.
Mhm.
It looks for endpoints that use this thing called the API controller attribute.
Okay. API controller attribute. Now that sounds technical.
It's a little jargony, I know, but just think of it as like a label.
Okay.
You're putting this label on your code, and you're saying, hey, Visual Studio, this is part of my API. Pay attention to this.
Gotcha. So it's like a little flag.
A little flag, yeah, that says, hey, this is important for APIs. Do your thing.
And then Endpoint Explorer knows to go look for those flags.
Exactly.
Okay. So it's not magic. It's just really good programming.
It's clever programming.
Clever programming.
Yeah, and it really speeds things up.
I bet.
Yeah.
Now, the article uses an example
Oh.
of a ePiser's endpoint.
Right. Yeah. So that's a pretty common one.
Yeah, if you're building like a, user database or something.
Yeah, like a web application, something like that. You're gonna have you need to be information about your users.
Yeah, and that's how you would access that.
That's the address.
So they talk about this feature, generate request.
Oh yeah.
What is that all about?
So generate request, that's where the real magic happens.
Okay, the real magic.
All right, so you're in Endpoint Explorer, you found your endpoint, you click generate request, and what it does is it creates an HTTP file for you.
Okay.
It stores your host address, and it adds the request, like the specific request you want to make to that endpoint. It does all that for you.
So it's not just finding the endpoints.
Yeah, well-
It's actually like setting up the whole testing environment.
It's doing all the boring stuff.
All the tedious stuff.
Yeah, so you don't have to.
Which is, that's got to be a huge time saver.
Huge time saver.
Yeah.
And it's really, it's so smooth. You
Yeah.
just click a button and boom, you're ready to go.
So, okay, we've found the endpoint, we've generated the request.
Mhm.
What about debugging?
Oh, debugging. That's another great thing about Endpoint Explorer. So you're debugging right within Visual Studio.
Okay, so I don't have to switch to another program.
And no more switching.
That's nice.
It's all right there.
Yeah.
So you're writing your code, and then you can just, boom, right there, test it, debug it, see what's going on.
Yeah, it's all in the same environment.
Same place. Yeah.
Makes sense. It's got to make things easier.
Oh, yeah, much easier.
So, the article was really excited.
Yeah, they were geeking out a little bit.
They're pretty pumped about not needing those external tools anymore.
Yeah.
Like Postman, Insomnia.
Right. So, I get it, right? Those tools, they can be a little clunky sometimes.
Yeah.
You got to switch back and forth.
You gotta copy and paste, import, export.
All this stuff. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's a pain.
It is a pain. And are we saying, are those tools obsolete now?
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
Postman and Insomnia, they're powerful tools. They have their place, you know?
Yeah, they got a lot of features.
They do, yeah. And especially if you're doing, really complex testing scenarios.
Right. You might still need those.
Yeah, you might, but sometimes you just want to do like a quick test.
Mm.
Just see if something's working. And for that,
Yeah.
having something built right into Visual Studio,
So much easier.
it's just so convenient.
Yeah, like why would you not?
Exactly.
So, okay, what does this all mean for developers, like big picture?
Big picture, I think it means, less time messing around with tools
Mm-hmm.
and more time actually building cool stuff.
Yeah.
More time focusing on your code, on the logic, on making your API awesome.
Right. It's like it's removing the friction.
It's streamlining the whole process.
Streamline. There you go. That's a good word.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't love less friction in their lives?
Exactly.
So it's like, more time for creativity,
More time to think about the big picture, to experiment.
more time to, actually build things.
Yeah, and that's exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's the really exciting part.
It's almost like this feature
Mm-hmm.
is like lowering the barrier to entry for API development.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like it's making it more accessible.
It's more approachable.
Yeah, for more people, which
I like that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean that could be huge, right?
Oh.
Like that could lead to, all sorts of new innovation.
Yeah, new people coming in, new ideas, new ways of doing things.
And that's something that I'm really excited to see, like,
Yeah, how this changes the landscape.
how this changes the landscape
Yeah, the API landscape.
of API development.
It's going to be interesting to watch.
It really is.
Yeah,
Well, I think that about covers it.
I think so.
Endpoint Explorer, everyone.
Go check it out.
Yeah, if you're building APIs, you're using Visual Studio,
It's worth a look.
give it a try. You might be surprised
Pleasantly surprised, I think.
at how much it changes your workflow.
I think so, yeah, for the better.
All right, till next time.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.